on. Go ahead.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I am your co-host, whose hypothecated abbreviated legal title is Faith B, who is you and your other than ordinary outside the AmeriCorps Vista advocate for justice for over 12 years as a direct source federal whistleblower. Prior to that, I was a real estate broker who worked for several too big to fail banks as a beta tester for their direct underwriting of We the People as empty shell corps member banks. MB, just another DUMB dumb product of society who has been hell-bent on exposing the trademark uniform TU mortgage electronic registration system, MERS, known as Operation Tumors, that marked y'all as their undisclosed lending brick and mortar partner through this beastly congressional fifth-generation warfare process. Why? Because at the end of the day, only acceptance of the S.E.C.U.R.E et al. Truth is sovereign. For those new to the show, you can find us online at www.whistleblowerpie.com, on Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, and occasionally Truth Social. Free feel to like, subscribe, and comment to your heart's content. P.S. Monthly donations are always welcome. Just click the links provided in the descriptions below. For those watching who are affiliated with entities acting under rebuttable presumptions, such as the color of office via hypothecation of colorable court laws, please be advised, our intent is not to offend, but to clarify. So let's mosey on up to that bar and let this declaration serve those to ensure there's no misunderstanding for slap purposes, because we are gonna wet your whistle tonight. And as always, the statements made herein are expressed in a personal capacity, not representing any past or present employer. Our whistleblowers featured on the platform and in confidential discussions have not misrepresented themselves as government or financial institutions, nor have they provided statements without substantiation. And of course, for our precious military brothers and sisters joining us tonight, Semper Fidelis, Semper Paralis, Semper Paramus, Semper Fortis, Sempus Doris, Sempus Gumby, and of course, Semper Supra. We love you, we appreciate you, and are grateful for everything you do. Especially thank you for being with us tonight. Now, let's get into the heart of these financial warfare subject matters and slice up some of these injustices right out of this pie and serve it up to the American people right here and right now. Our show tonight is called Secure Pie, serving up the crime scenes of America one slice at a time. We are going to dive right into the mechanics of ownership laundering and federalized money laundering tax evasion scheme using your individual legal titles. This show is a hardcore reminder that all those criminal wannabes that rebuttable presumptions of law are not law. And where treason is involved, I was just acting under orders from above. Well, let's just say those bar fights are just dead man walking. I am so proud to introduce the host of our show, Miss Billie P. Billie, take it away. Billie, you're muted. Billie, please unmute.
Your mic is...
I thought I muted Linda. I muted me. Sometimes everybody says, will somebody mute that woman? She talks too much. So I'm Billie P. Thanks, Faith. Welcome to our show, folks. And I'm so happy to see all our wonderful guests tonight. I'm a 17-year advocate for land rights and systemic cleansing of the land records. And tonight, we're going to review our findings of the S.E.C.U.R.E recordation software, a system that I've researched since 2015. And it was put in place through Kamala Harris and Obama. Imagine that. I wonder how she got up that ladder. Owned by Orange County, San Diego, LA, and Riverside in California. It is the panel's belief that the counterfeit documents, stealing and laundering title, are ignored due to the intricate web of systemic interfacing with software leading up to the Department of Defense. Yep, all the way up and beyond. You may be shocked, and we assure you, you're going to be disgusted as well with the abuse victims endure, while the public servants enrich themselves and the dirty hands of the criminals involved. Remember, our first show was Patrick Soria Pie. Remember, we talked about how he went to prison and went for wire fraud, and contempt of court. And he wire fraud because of the counterfeit documents in the land record, because of the forgeries. That's how they got him on the wire fraud. But interesting enough, he didn't go to jail because of the forgeries. He didn't go to jail because he recorded fraudulent documents. But they used those documents to put him minimally away. He could have spent his whole life behind bars for the documents he fraudulently recorded on the records. So he wasn't charged for the forgeries. Convenient, considering that it leaves the county clerk of recorders off the hook, because they too are accomplices, because we have told them. We have told them these are counterfeit documents. So secure recordation off the hook? Nope. No, we say loudly, no one is off the hook for the treason. For the pirating, counterfeiting, and treason, which are the three hanging offenses in our Constitution. 3. And they all 3 are involved in the counterfeit documents in our land records. Allowing for the pirating and the treason occurs when it is allowed to happen. So your damages are the foreclosure, the health issues, the homelessness, the legal fees, the arrest, the trespass upon you. And it is the counterfeit documents that are the conduit for all of this. So our open panel tonight will discuss their opinions on remedy to cure these damages. And remember, these are our opinions. These are based on our own experience. These are not legal advice. These are merely a panel of experienced men and women with firsthand and verified knowledge of their own occurrences. So tonight we invited County Recorder Hugh Gwen, and I'm sorry to say that Anya in his office let me know that he had a previous engagement. I did ask if she would help supply just a simple statement from him regarding the secure recordation software and all of the occurrences in the land records, but I did not hear back from him. We also invited Michigan Judge Miriam Kromkowski. Renee Wyler will tell you a little bit about her. We didn't get a response from her or her office, but we also invited Todd Spitzer again for third time, which I thought might be the charm, but no, we didn't get anything from him or even a response for me to even ask for a statement. So those are the 3 invitations that went out tonight for tonight's show. But tonight we do have honored guests that we've asked to come on, and we have 2 co-host guests who are women that are also going to be going on to be hosting their own shows on our podcast production line. So we're really excited, and we'll share that with you later. So tonight, Renee Wyler founded Wyler Mers Mortgage Audits. That is a mouthful. That's all written down for a reason. And she's out of Michigan. And then Linda Nash, who is the founder of Homeowners Legal Rights out of Florida. So we have a full pie tonight that we're going to slice into. And our guests tonight are Ron Gillis out of Florida, Rory Woods, Tom Kibler, Joanne Kennedy. Hi, Joanne. And Valerie Naif. Valerie has got some really wonderful things to share tonight. I can't wait to introduce her. So they're going to be sharing their statements of the land record crime scenes and how the recording of counterfeit documents has stolen their identity, their social security number, their estates, their title, through a sophisticated real estate fraud scheme in where the dirty, malicious, and nefarious hands of the criminals evade taxes while stealing everything we own, as those tasked with the dereliction are with the duty of protecting us are in dereliction of their duty, aka treason. So I'm going to introduce you first. Take the mic off there, Linda. Linda Nash. Linda was a real estate appraiser for 20 years. And she's an expert in the land records, a dear friend, a dear woman that I speak to almost daily, sometimes multiple times daily. She formed a nonprofit organization called Homeowners Legal Rights, HLR. HLR is an educational watchdog group who addresses the government directly with homeowners' issues, concerns, and explains how these issues are to be lawfully resolved. She does them very well, too, I'll tell you. Her board gives her okay for some very good letters that many of you may have seen. Linda's spoken with countless ABC government agencies, whistleblowers, victims, and landowners. Now, let's hear from Linda herself. Are you unmuted there, Linda? I'm going to unmute you. Boom. Now you're unmuted, Linda. Oh, God, I think she muted herself again. Hold on, Linda. Your pie is baking. Linda, stop. Don't touch. I'm unmuting you. How about trying to unmute yourself? Oh, my gosh, Linda, you're killing me, Smalls. Now where'd she go?
Okay. Thank you, Linda.
Okay, Linda, you have to unmute yourself, honey, because you muted. Okay, so guess what? As with what happened.
Okay, so thank you, Linda. We're gonna circle back, S.E.C.U.R.E right back to Linda in just a few minutes, and now we're gonna move on and talk about with Joanne Kennedy. She has some professional opinions due to her experience with AT&T Network on how the recordation of electronic documents fails the security test. And we are super excited to have you on, Joanne, and cannot wait for you today to speak and let us know what you have to offer our show.
Well, in 1985, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, good. In 1985, I was working for AT&T headquarters, corporate telecommunications, and I was, I guess, partnered with an engineer who was working with a new technology called ISDN, Integrated Software Defined Network. And with this new network, it actually was architecture within the information movement and management future. And what they did is they were going to, for reference, start to integrate data with voice. And it was very successful. It was so successful that Wall Street picked this up and decided to create MERS out of ISDN. Unfortunately for us, once a piece of info is on the web, other databases share, and this is what's called integration, which explains why credit scores tank when we get foreclosed, why fake addresses get populated in the database as real, and any information within the ISDN network architecture can be populated and can be manipulated. This leads to erroneous documents filed in MERS or S.E.C.U.R.E or docs or even landexes, which is what Northampton County uses. In my case, in 2005, I was notified by the IRS that I was a victim of identity theft. And with that, I had to, what I didn't know is that there was a decoy assignment that was submitted to Fannie Mae for securitization. And it had a fake address in a cornfield and my husband's signature. And Claudia from Business Level 2, Fannie Mae, told me all this. My name was not on the securitization document submitted to GSE, and it was dated 2005. And the husband's signature was on it, but not mine. And guess what? The husband died in 1998. So they had a forgery of a dead man. What happened next was the fake address that was in the cornfield was the example of the database manipulation where the fake address was substituted for the real address. And the community that I lived in at the time was established in 1929. And my property was the original first lot of deed in 1929. And on the what they would call a plot and a plat. And it was filed in the old-fashioned way with the recorder of deeds in the lien office of the recorder's office for land records. What I'm going to say is left unchecked. Data manipulation can happen, resulting in identity theft, mail fraud, even RICO. And to fast forward, on February 20th, I got a notification of change of address initiated by Equifax. And my address here is 132 Headley Avenue. And my current address, Headley Avenue, was switched with an old address in Easton, Pennsylvania, Northampton County. And Experian and TransUnion, they fixed it. but Equifax would not. So I had to turn them into the FTC OIG. And I'm still waiting to see what they do with it. I'm not holding my breath though.
No, and
When I went,
Joanne,
what?
let's talk about too, because you had gang stalking. You were arrested for trespass upon your own property. You had many things going. Can you give us some names of some judges or some your attorney general at the time? Just 3 or 4 names, and then we're going to move on back to Linda. Go ahead.
Attorney General was Josh Shapiro, who's now the governor. And the Northampton County. The president judge was Stephen Barada. He had too many bad letters in his judge file, so he retired to get away from it. But then he became the DA, and the DA Morganelli, who you spoke to, Renee, became the judge. So they switched places to, keep up with the little scam that they had going down at Northampton County Court.
Now, what about the counterfeit documents? What did they say when you brought forth that they were using your dead husband's identity? Obviously forgeries, obviously counterfeit, and identity theft. What was it they told you about all that? What did they do?
They did nothing. And I had a satisfaction piece too.
Yep.
Now, that's what I couldn't understand is how can you actually take somebody's property with the same address? Mm-hmm. Paid off too. Yeah, paid off. And here I have a satisfaction piece. And they just kept, it was like a steamroller. They just kept steamrolling through until they got the property.
Yeah, they ignored your documents of verified facts and allowed the counterfeits to take your home. So you know what, Joanne, we're going to come back to that after a couple more people, or at the end, because I have more questions of you that I think are going to tie into some remedy. So thank you for sharing that. Hang on. We're going to go back to Faith. Faith, can you go ahead and do that again, please? And Linda, I hope you're unmuted.
Hey, Linda, we missed you. Can you unmute? Because we're going to go circle back to you in just a second. Linda. Now, Linda Nash, again, to reemphasize, was real estate property managers, as Billie introduced. Linda, can you unmute?
I don't know why she's having so much trouble again.
I don't know why she's having trouble again. Okay. Linda,
there she is. There she is.
Right.
There.
Can you hear me now?
Let's hear you, girl.
All right. What I am the specialist at is land records and the filing of fraudulently forged, improper, invalid documents in public land records is trafficking and laundering of title, and it is a felony. It is the unlawful seizure of American soil is an act of war on this nation, its people, and its constitution, and cannot be condoned by any government servant. That is just powerful, and everyone should know that. And that's just my opening statement.
Thank you, Linda.
I'm sorry about the trouble earlier, but it was
not
me.
You're all good. You're amazing, Linda, and we love you. We'll circle back to you at the end. Okay, let's continue on and move on. Again, thank you so much. We're going to move on to Ron. Ron has been fighting over 16 years now. He flew out to California in 2019 to stand with other whistleblowers from across the country to introducing their knowledge of recordation fraud to the Orange County Board of Supervisors. Now, Ron has personal insight into the notary forgeries, and he's a title theft. Now, both Ron and his wife, Debbie, ran for offices because of what they experienced. And we are so honored, Ron, to have you here with us tonight. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Ron?
Okay, now I hear you. My computer locked up. Well, the couple things I was going to say, can you hear me?
We can hear you great.
A couple things I was going to say is that one of the things is about the notary issues. And actually, I have a current appeal on that issue right now. There's a step required, at least in Florida, and I don't know about other states, but you have to have a proof. I'm sorry. You have to have a documentation that the property was advertised in a publication twice or 2 weeks in a row. And what they were doing was, and yes, there are authorizations in many, if not all states, to allow a notary to do things electronically, like an electronic signature and what have you. However, at least in the state of Florida, in order to do that in Florida, if you're a Florida notary, you have to have your regular, normal 4-year license, and some other states have 6 years, and I think Louisiana, you're appointed for life. But you have to have that in Florida, 4 years. Then you also have to have a specific license to do electronic notarizations that renews every year, which the lady did not have. And the judge also tried to argue, well, it's kind of like how she was referring to me, electronically sign my signature on a document. I said, those are just general regular documents. This is an affidavit which must be notarized before the notary, and they have to sign before the notary. And if she had a medical condition or something to that nature where she was not physically able to sign a document, she can use a stamp, or she can use electronic notary, an electronic form of a signature. But she did not have any of those issues, and you have to be authorized because of a medical condition or something like that. Now, right now, I have an appeal going on at the 6th District Court of Appeal in Florida on that specific issue. There was another thing Renee and I were talking about was I also filed, and it's a very specific thing, a declaratory judgment lawsuit. Now, in that declaratory judgment lawsuit, I'm not suing for any money. I'm not suing to delay the foreclosure. Matter of fact, a sale has already happened. Actually, 2 sales have already happened. And I asked for where the money went. That is something others that are facing foreclosure. Now, it's only a specific time frame that you can do that. Obviously, one of the things that would have to occur is a sale.
Ron, you have a lot of clicking
but you
going
also,
on, I think. There we go. Yeah, whatever you're doing with your hands, don't.
Okay. I'm specifically asking for where the money went, and I found out a very interesting fact in my particular case, and because it's happening in mine, I think every one of us that have been fighting for years, if it's happening in one, it's happening in others. And what I'll shorten it and just say Dutch Bank is the entity suing me on behalf as a trustee, and Fraudo has been the one filing pretty much all the affidavits into the case, but the money didn't go to either one of those entities. It went to something called PHH Mortgage, which many of you may know used to be Ocwen. And that's going to be an interesting thing, because if Ocwen can show that they paid the named plaintiff, well, then I kind of lose my argument. But the problem is the entity suing me does not exist. So where's that paper trail going to go and that money?
And what about the counterfeit documents? Do the counterfeit documents obviously have names on them that you just said? So that would be a counterfeit document that's being recorded into the docket or onto the land records of entities that do not exist. Yep. And so what Ron's talking about tonight is something we've been talking a lot about, is the declaratory judgment. And because a lot of us have had the displeasure of going in saying there's fraud upon the court, and the judge overlooks everything because you have a court officer with a bar card telling them that they're giving them truthful and upfront, blah, 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 which we all say, no, they're not. These pages are all counterfeit. They don't exist. This entity is perjuring themselves. So Ron, what he's done is he called me a few months ago and he says, I'm going to go back in it a different way. And I'm going to ask for the trail of money and the trail of paperwork before doing anything else, because that's a really good structured remedy. So I wanted to make sure for Ron to speak about that tonight, because that ties directly in to the electronic recordation and to the land record counterfeit documents, which are pirating everything. So Ron, thank you. Let's circle back on that one too at the end, because all of these are going to tie together and give something more. Go ahead, Faith.
Yeah, and I would be interested too if you were to request a condition subsequent to actually outline the accounting as well. That would be very fun. But yes, we'll circle back to that later. Right now, I'm going to introduce Renee, our co-host this evening. Now, Renee Wyler is a 25-year veteran of mortgage banking, the owner and only signing authority of Wyler Mortgage Group, LLC, an active Ohio LLC prior to the mortgage meltdown. Her company originated millions of dollars in mortgages in both Ohio and Michigan as the original lender. Now, she intervened in the Powers Brashear cases, giving her criminal claims to DA Todd Spitzer's office and investigator John Mint. She and a few of her whistleblowers have been targeted by judicial officers, state bar attorneys, and Fannie Mae in challenging their secret tri-party Fannie Mae agreement on the taking of land. And Billie and I are excited to host Renee, aka Lady Hawk, I'm loving that name, on her new podcast on our platform, Let's Talk. It's going to be coming in April, and we welcome Renee, and we're looking forward to Let's Talk later. Come on.
Good evening, everyone. Glad to be here tonight. What I would like to talk about is Fiddler Technologies. Now, what is Fiddler? Fiddler is the software system that we have here in Michigan that we believe interfaces with the S.E.C.U.R.E land recordation system in California. And what I did tonight was I tried to get off the internet Timothy Charles Homestead's report. He's an award-winning journalist, and his investigation was called, it's a special investigation labeled Fiddler Technologies, not only possessing illegally transferred land deeds, Fiddler is providing election services to Dominion and vote by mail. Here we have the Dominion machines that we are trying to get rid of and go back to the paper ballots because, like I said, they're interfacing with California, and they're all sharing in this gigantic web of artificial intelligence to steal our data, our social security numbers, names, addresses, and as Renee Powers told me at one time, she said they use our parcel numbers like social security numbers for land and for our soil. That is the parcel number. And so what we're seeing with Timothy Charles Holmes' report, he also did another investigation, and this one and the one that I just mentioned were given to Michelle Crocker, our clerk in Leelanau County. And God bless her, she put this out there on the public website on 12/29/2023. Had she not put that out there, I would have not been able to find these two articles because Google and the big tech companies have purged these documents. We're seeing this with the voter records. We're seeing this with anything to do with theft of our titles. These articles just disappear.
And, you know, Renee, you and I've actually, when Renee and I were researching Judge Carter, I went down to the land records physically. Gosh, that was about 2018, I think, and had her on the phone with me. And it was very interesting because there were so many documents. I took so many pictures saying, oh my gosh, Renee, here's another substitution. Here's another this, here's another that. And she ended up doing a MERS audit on his property. And he claimed to know everything about the crimes through his, through our case. He actually on the record said he realized that Bank of America and all of these nefarious names were stealing people's land. So, okay, Renee, do you have anything else you want to say before you introduce Tom?
No, the only thing that I would like to have everyone know is that Judge Cassandra Kirk in Fulton County does take this very seriously. I did contact her. I told her about Patrick Soria, and she went to her Board of Commissioners and got rid of the clerk. So there are people, there are public servants who do take this seriously, who do take their oaths of office seriously, and that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to go to Judge Carter and say, hello, sir, you took an oath of office. You need to figure out what's going on here. And I think that's our next move will be to talk to, is it Molly Dwyer, the clerk?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Renee, yeah.
We need to go directly to Judge, or the Honorable Judge David Carter, and ask him, what are you going to do about this?
I agree. And well, we do have things in motion, and we'll talk a little bit more at the end about those too. But right now, what's very key is what Renee just talked about how we have from California overseas connected the AI and the interfacing of secure software with all the other platforms being used all the way up to the Department of Defense. And there's an octopus, a patent that connects all of these in just more than nanoseconds. It's so quick that our information is sent everywhere. And that's how she and I ended up as one of the 4. Valerie Nape, also on here, and Lori Cole. We were the 4 interlopers in the, what was the case called? Not Bradley.
Billie versus Antrim County.
Yes, Bailey. So, okay.
You have to remember that the patent assignment for the Dominion Software Voting System Corporation shows HSBC in Canada as the collateral agent. So there's no doubt that all of this is connected through the federalized banking industry, and that's why you're seeing all this.
Exactly. And I can't wait for you to share, Faith. So go ahead, Renee, introduce Tom for us.
Well, I'm very glad to hear that Tom is on this call. Tom has fought for many, many years to ward off the criminals that were stealing his home. And I remember he'd asked me to do an audit on his streets. And what we found out there is that he and all of his neighbors were sharing a subset of, I don't know if there were 2 or 3 different mortgages, but all of them shared that same MERS number. A MERS number, or MIN number, mortgage identification number, is supposed to be specific to your property, but that's not the case. Like Joanne was saying with the AT&T situation, they can modify and alter any record and create counterfeit copies, and that's exactly what they were doing on Tom Kipler's street. So we'll introduce Tom. If you're there, can you unmute yourself and tell us about your valiant fight to get rid of these criminals?
Unmute yourself, Tom. Is he frozen? It looks like Tom's frozen. Tom? Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and go past Tom this for a second. He's probably going to have to come out and go back in. We'll bring him back on in a minute. Tom, you're going to have to pop out and come back in. Tonight, we also have Rory Woods. Rory's been on another episode with us. She was on Soria Pie. She's done a lot of research there. And Rory is amazing with the way she delivers her information. So I want you to listen to her tonight. And Rory, go ahead and talk to us about the software system, about the land records. Give us your thoughts, your opinions on what's going on.
Thanks so much for bringing me on again, Billie and Faith. So what's interesting about this in my own research is that this has been going on for decades. Let's see. I have quite a bit of information to arm my fellow Americans against the fraudsters in our courts and at every level of our governance, right on down to these registries of deeds. When I say arm, my fellow Americans, I mean with the pen, which is mightier than the sword. We come in honor to right our republic against the tyranny of the corrupt actors who file falsified documents into the registries of deeds. Those false filings, made by acts of identity theft and forgery and filed electronically into our land records in every county in this nation, from locations domestic as well as foreign, are acts of title theft. These acts of counterfeiting and pirating against our sovereign land are acts of treason. Friends, we the people are the sovereigns of these United States. That is the gift our founders established for us, and it is our responsibility to take it back, to fight for our sovereignty until every corrupt judge, clerk, politician, regulatory agency head and their assistants, and register of deeds in every county is sitting in Gitmo awaiting a trial by a jury of we the people. I sent Freedom of Information Act requests to my corrupt sheriffs and to the Register of Deeds, Mary Olberding, not so fondly called Dingaling by many, but make no mistake, friends, Mary Olberding knows exactly what she's doing. She and her clerks are taking bribes to assist in the title theft of our properties by way of recording forged documents obtained through patently illegal predatory lending in which the homeowners were targeted for the taking. Forged assignments of title were used to make claims and acts of title theft against us. From the Hampshire Deeds website, quote, Hampshire Register of Deeds Mary Olberding has served on the executive committee of the Registers and Assistant Registers of Deeds Association for 6 years, including 3 as president of the association. She has also served in the Technology, Legislative, and the Deeds Indexing Standards Committees, end quote. These were all planned from the top, friends, in league with the legislature. Mary Olberding says, quote, since her team began in 2013, she has increased the efficiency and accessibility of the office by implementing electronic recording, digitizing the card catalog, updating the deeds indexing standards, and back indexed records to the 1920s, end quote. Well, that's convenient, friends, because the actual books are no longer available for scrutiny. As we all know, Photoshop can alter any image. Many new documents have been added to manipulate the land records back to the 1920s for purposes of title theft. That's correct. Many estates left by persons without heirs are supposed to escheat, that's E-S-C-H-E-A-T, to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to offset expenses, which then translate into reduced taxes for the working people. But no, they do not. Rather, the estates are taken by local bar attorneys, then flipped to pad the pockets of the attorneys and every bad actor playing ball along the way. I have collected ample evidence to this effect. In fact, Cumberland Farms convenience stores and gas stations, locally known as Cumbies here in Mass and throughout New England, currently expanding down the East Coast, have done very well recovering from their own bankruptcy by acquiring new, strategically located properties for pennies on the dollar, with estates managed through the probate and superior courts. Justice Donna Salvidio of the Massachusetts Southeast Housing Court and Chief Justice Budd of the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court are in on it. I have the evidence safely stashed on multiple hard drives. How is that possible, you may ask? Well, in a birth dearth situation, there are many estates with no heirs, or none that can be, quote, found, wink, wink. I actually found an unknown heir by looking for about 20 minutes in the deeds records and on the internet, in which Michael J. Carey, a crooked probate court magistrate here in Hampshire County, probated and closed the estate of a deceased landowner in which another deceased person was listed as the executor of the estate. I kid you not, friends, you can't make these crimes up. It's so ridiculous. These frauds are apparently routine here in the epicenter of the swamp. So with that background, it's no wonder that the registers of deeds have jumped at the opportunity to launder our titles for cash. It's big business. Make no mistake, the counterfeiting and pirating of our land records by these nefarious registers of deeds, very few accepted, are acts of treason, which comes with a sentence of life in prison in Massachusetts. I can show that Mary Olberding is committing these crimes in a RICO scheme. That's racketeering. By acting for the national banks and their subsidiaries, which is treason at the federal level, for which the death penalty is indicated. Now, I won't enjoy watching Mary Olberding die because I'm not a sociopath. But Mary Olberding is a sociopath, and she needs to be removed from her position as a trusted public servant immediately. Just to finish up, I did seek Mary Olberding's oath of office, bond, and proof of liability insurance. And what I got back was a traveler's insurance indemnification for her role as a public official in the amount of $30,000, and another for her role as assistant recorder for the land court in the amount of $14,000. So it stands to reason that I can make claims for ongoing breaches of Mary Olberding's public duties in the amount of $44,000 for each year she has failed to correct the record of title to my properties, of which I have 2 with corrupted titles, each for over a decade. So that'll add up quickly.
That'll add up really quickly.
Yeah.
Especially with treble damages. That's going to be huge.
Yeah.
I love you, Rory. You are so awesome.
There's more. There's more.
There's more.
I also saw Sheriff Patrick Kalane and his captain Joseph LaFond and his deputy George Szymborski's oaths of office, bonds, and proofs of liability. And what I got back was a Western World Insurance Group liability policy with $2 million aggregate limit on liability and a $5 million limit on certified acts of terrorism. So apparently, I need we the people to certify the takings of our homes under armed threat as certified acts of terrorism, which shouldn't be too difficult once we the people have recovered our sovereignty. Neither the sheriffs nor Mary Olberding provided any oath of office or proof of bond. So clearly, they're all acting without sufficiency, without authority, and outside of the law. It is high time for their arrests.
That was excellent, Rory.
Amen,
Excellent.
Rory.
Gosh, I'm telling you that this is what we're talking about, people. This is what this show is about. Naming names, talking about the theft of our republic, our lands. And now I'm
How
really
they exactly did it. That's the key point. And that's why I want to circle back to Tom. Can we circle back to Tom?
Nope, because he's not in yet. He keeps getting kicked out. Yeah. So right now, though, I am going to Valerie, go ahead and I've got you unmuted. Tonight we have with us a woman I have called friend for many, many years. We've been through a lot together, and she has been through many shows with us where she shared her stories. She's penned and co-authored the petition of remonstrance with Lori Cole. Val and Lori spent months writing the historical petition of remonstrance and entered it into the Power versus Bank of New York Mellon case docket as interested parties. It has since gone into countless other court dockets across the country, even mentioned in Australia, by the way, on the floor of Australian government. It is currently in 37 state Congress, including the U.S. Congress. They drafted a document unlike anything we've seen in over 100 years. And Val will tell us how to put it into action. She'll also be discussing the importance of this historical document, telling us how the government officials are in direct violation of their emoluments and committing treason against our republic. You can find the document to read it, share it, download it, and use it in your own cases if you want. Put it into as an attachment at www.abolishthebankers.com. Go ahead and go there, look at the page, click on that link, and read it. You are going to be amazed at what Valerie and Lori did for you, for all of us. These two women put their heart and soul, literally, into this document.
And their life.
And their life. So Val, we want to thank you, dear, so much for coming on tonight. And I want you to go ahead, explain, and take it away. Go ahead, dear woman.
Well, thank you very much for that introduction. You're very kind. Yes, the petition of remonstrance was done by Lori Cole and Valerie Ney, co-authored. This document was done for all to level out the playing field. We were guaranteed a republic form of government. All government agencies have been aware of that. People are in government will talk about, oh, well, we need to pass this law, or we need to make sure that this isn't going to there's laws that have already been enacted. Our forefathers saw what remedy, which a petition of remonstrance is. It is your remedy. It is for you to use. It is in the Constitution. You have the right to remonstrate your grievance. So there's a gentleman in Tennessee that has started when Lori and I actually wrote up this petition of remonstrance, who has getting some success through different agencies, and how these agencies are actually ignoring the people's petitions and entering in, like we've heard in so many of these other stories, their own documents. They're fraudulently entering in documents, ignoring the documents that are to be recognized lawfully and constitutionally, which are not allowing the voice of the people to be heard. So this is just legal abuse of the judiciary system. This is actual abuse of the judicial machinery. It is actually using it against we the people, hence the name of any government employee before their title is public servant. They are to serve the public. We don't work for them. They work for us. And I think that there are so many judges that have fallen into this fraud that it is much easier for them to uphold another judge's fraudulent decision, even though we know what we're speaking and entering into our cases is lawful. It is lawful. They have created a legal system that does not benefit the people that it was designed for. So the petition of remonstrance is, doing a complete circle, is your right, as we were guaranteed a republic form of government, because what you're seeing is a democracy. And a democracy is a corporation. And if the United States is acting in this defunct capacity, then it is our responsibility as not only petitioners, but as, when somebody says, what is your nationality? Most people are not aware that it's the state that you were born in. So as Illinoisans or Californians or Ohioans or any of these other nations that are supposed to uphold our rights according to the Constitution that they take to take that seat. So if they're taking this oath, which what we're finding out now is that when you go in asking for their bonds and their oaths, they're running. They're being loyal to a foreign. You won't be able to find their oaths and their bonds any longer. They have listed, because all of these judges and courts, and they're listed on Dun & Bradstreet, which means they're corporations for profit. But the petition of remonstrance was designed to serve we the people, for us to be able to have our voices heard and be able to articulate what it was that actually, who, what, where, when, and why this transpired. And the judge is supposed to act as the referee and uphold the law. Per the Constitution, it is in written form by our forefathers, and the judiciary system is just deceiving the public at large, which in the deception of the public at large, it is causing a tremendous harm and injury and loss and division of not only lives and families, but this is something that when we wrote this, we wanted to make sure that the playing field was fair. So when I asked my partner of 27 years to what she wanted to do with this, she said, I want to give it away. And we both said at the same time, for free. So this is your right to use. A petition is a written protest. A remonstrance is a word that they've hidden from the public for almost 200 years. So seeing that our forefathers fought to ensure that our governmental system was going to run correctly, they implemented the petitioning and remonstrating. And these judges are in direct violation of their oath. But they're in direct violation. This is treason, as many, including Rory, had just spoken about earlier. Now, when we find that they are acting in this facetious malice or conduct, then it is our responsibility to unite. United we stand, divided everybody falls. This wasn't just something that our forefathers stated that they knew would happen, but even Benjamin Franklin refers to when he was asked to be the president, and he said, no, that I'll be the postmaster general, and you will have a republic as long as you can keep it. Now, what has happened is the rights of the people have just been eroded because they are not using their plenary power to enforce these acts that are being fraudulently perpetuated in these court systems. So I know I only have a short, limited time, and I've dropped off of this forum twice. So does anybody have any questions, or is there anything you want me to touch specifically on?
We're going to open this up for discussion because you've hit on all the topics here. But the key, what I want you to take from this, and we've mentioned this on other platforms, we did get contacted in Washington State by a congressman, and our representative for Washington did. Our Renee Wyler can tell you about the representative in Michigan, the congressman. Who was that congressman, Renee? Jack Bergman. And they opened up what they called investigations in support of the remonstrance. But as we know, quickly they disappeared. Which happens to a lot of people that are helping and want to help. They get retired, they get lost, they go down a black rabbit hole somewhere, not to be found again, just like John Min in Orange County, the investigator who had the case for 3 years. So I do want to ask you to just briefly once explain emoluments one more time, Val.
Hey, no problem. Okay, the emolument clause is the easiest way to say it is it's a description of why you're getting paid. It is like your outline for your job duties. That's exactly what an emolument is. But in government, it's referred to as emoluments and violations. Now, they're being paid for services they are not rendering. That becomes the violation. You get paid for X, Y, and Z. If you are not performing X, Y, and Z, then you are in fraudulent standing. So you are in direct violation of your oath-taking emolument, which is the description for why you are sitting in the seat that you are sitting in, receiving the monies that you are receiving.
Thank you, because that's that key point right there. And I know Lori hammered that home with the two of you. She said that they're violating their emoluments. It's like you going and buying a damn refrigerator and it doesn't work. They send a serviceman out. He looks at it and says, yeah, it's broken, leaves. He hasn't performed the service. He should not be getting paid. He has.
There's a lot to this conversation, which we can circle back to at their discussion panel at the end of the show. But right now, I
No,
really
he's
do
gone
want to
again. Yeah, Tom Kibler's out
Tom,
again. I know.
Tom,
We
get your
tried.
act together. Get on here, man.
Oh my gosh.
Come on, man.
Okay, so does anybody else? Let's go. Joanne, Rory, Tom
Muting.
Davis. Let's go and unmute everybody. Anybody that wants to talk about what we've talked about now about the petition of remonstrance, the grievance, then we'll move on to our closing statements. But I want to give you all the opportunity if you would like to say something now or talk about something in remedy, like it's very important that we share that. So anyone have anything, Rory? Anyone have any statements to make? Okay. So, all right. So go ahead and let's go back. Linda or Faith, go ahead. And we finished with this part of it. So let's continue on the itinerary there.
Okay. Well, yeah, you wanted me to reach out and give my final thoughts in remedies, and which after tonight's show makes me feel like opening up an entire news show of financial revelations. For those that are interested in a deeper dive, we always have our book coming up that goes into what we have discussed in detail. But these agreements, at the end of the day, let me reiterate some final thoughts. The root of all this is cheating. It lies in how these dirty deeds were structured from the start through this trademark process as a reverse purchase and sale leaseback, leading to interest claims based on antecedent debt write-offs. Okay, this is all generated under the loan purchase and sale guarantee agreement. Okay, these are pari passu intercreditor agreements with third parties incidental to the contract. They essentially lettered a government election of action, taking control of an individual's legal title by season using these dirty deeds, which is actually upon an IRS form. If you look at the bottom of the deed of trust, there's a form, that's an IRS form. All right, these additional off-record advances above and beyond what was disclosed as the lent money, well, effectively the individual becomes a bound akin to an indentured servant obligated to repay the loan that MERS secured by liberating the individual's credit beyond the scope of authority. These action basically irrevocably shifts their repayment obligation into a performance bond, which is then commodified essentially and sold as a stock after its divestitures. Okay, so consequently, upon title, the individual is marked by barcodes akin to those of consumer goods, like a can of beans or a can, at the grocery stores, and they're essentially treated as or deemed intellectual property, aka chattel. Well, this transformation product scenario, it basically, oh, what am I trying to say here? The crucial issue, I guess, of restoring fee title through a lawful right of reversion. You're right, Linda. It's been constantly overlooked. I mean, you can go check out S.E.C.U.R.E versus Land Tool Company, where the court determined where faced with a choice between the innocent consumer and the manufacturer of a defective product, well, the manufacturer should bear the loss. Well, who's the manufacturer? In this case, the manufacturer would be congressional men and women who created the laws outlined upon our site that enable these unconscionable MERS trademark system in the first place. Okay, our 10b-5 enjoiners go into this. I mean, the U.S. Supreme Court has clarified that under Section 10b-5 of the Securities and Exchange Act, for basically recognizing security transactions and fraud claims, that they're the primary person making these violations are responsible for the damages.
And can I ask you, Faith, I'm sorry to interrupt, but can you share, because we're getting questions, how does this matter to the land records? Can you explain how this ties into the S.E.C.U.R.E and the software being used in order to record the documents of which they're using what you're talking about? Because we know that's what they're asking. How does this tie into the recordation of these documents?
Absolutely. Well, basically, once you do a tandem net advance of the creditor, you're basically borrowing against the full value of the good faith estimate and paying off that property up front. So that when you pay that off, it's at a value of zero, just what they depreciated and buy it back for. Is that the
So what you're saying, what I'm hearing you say is there should be no open debt of which we are a debtor to.
No, and the fact it says it on the deed of trust. It's the deed of record, which is the dual tracking record, not the deed on record. Okay. And that's what they did. I mean, they're basically borrowing money, or MERS is taking your assumption and borrowing money against the full faith credit and pocketing that and irrevocably transferring into trust that that deferred income that will be generated at the end, or if you don't pay it off, or if a triggered timing devices or triggering mechanisms cut you short, that full debt where you're held as the 1099 responsible as the undisclosed partner.
So to circle that whole thing, what Faith is saying for those of us like me who my brain cells can't capacitate all of that.
Everything else recorded after the fact is fraud. It's fraud.
That's it. It's all counterfeit. It's all counterfeit and treason upon the people and the republic, because in essence, that very wet signature is what Faith is saying created the conduit of which there was a zero amount owed. And so, Faith, can you go ahead then and get into allowing Linda to finish her final statement there? That was excellent. And I appreciate you letting me bring it into terms I could comprehend.
No, I appreciate you helping me, transcribe it. The thing is, it basically is turning the individual, if the only option left that they have is to a Treasury whistleblower, when they finally realize that all this is cheating that we're talking about.
Explain, will you give the description? What is a cheating? So those listening and asking, what is that?
Okay, well, basically, when you're going into a estate, that's a form of probate. A form of probate is basically where you have to have a trustee. You are the grantor of the estate. You put it into a trust. It's a different level. But in the way that we are in a God we trust system with this MERS processing, they essentially became the beneficiary, which assumed you to be the.
And who are they? Who are they? Who are they that are assuming our identity?
So you have MERS, basically the beneficiary, who's acting as as the co-borrower, putting you in a congressional co-signer position against the full faith and credit of the United States of America through the trademark process.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And go ahead. Let's get Linda in so we can get on time tonight. Faith?
Linda? Gal there?
You muted me. You muted me.
My hands are clean. I have clean hands. Clean.
The problem was, okay.
Go ahead, Linda.
Oh, she got muted again. Linda, you muted yourself. Linda, you muted yourself.
Okay,
this is like the comedy error hour.
Well, okay, so let's circle us back. I mean, basically,
okay, let's get her. Okay, Linda, I'm going to try one more time. You muted yourself, so she's. We're going to move right along because we're at the end here, and we've really had a good discussion. And Linda has talked about how this is all treason. And that's the problem we have here. And so we have the three: counterfeiting, pirating, and these things, and treason. These are the offenses. So Linda's back, I believe, but she's got herself muted.
I just want to say one last thing. I mean, when you're talking about Treasury whistleblowing, this is a cabinet level agency under the current administration. And it's the current administration that's responsible for the failure to promote economic prosperity and failure to ensure the financial security of the United States, when they've been factoring the opposite, which leads into our discussion of treason.
Gotcha. Okay, Linda, you're muted. Please talk before you hit your button again.
I am not the one that's muting and unmuting this. I don't know how it's happening.
Well, just go ahead, because I couldn't unmute you because it said you muted yourself, but that's okay. Go ahead. We don't need to talk.
I did not.
Go ahead. That's okay.
We love you, Linda.
What I want to do is to teach people the very simple, basic rules of the land records. They can pick up any document. Am I muted again?
No.
Okay. Okay. Anyone can pick up a document and know whether it is a lawful conveying document in their land records or not. The rules are so simple. They are so basic that you do not need a law degree to figure this out. All of these county clerks are liable for the records that they have in their possession. And every time something is filed that does not meet that standard, I don't care whether it's e-filed or somebody walked in and handed it to them. It doesn't belong in their records. And when they accept it, and it's a conveying document for a parcel of American-owned soil, they are committing treason. There are 3 federal laws, and everyone can Google them and look them up. It's 18 U.S.C. 3, 18 U.S.C. 4, and 18 U.S.C. 2382. And that says if you, as a regular, everyday person, find that someone has committed treason, it is your responsibility, it is your duty to report it to a constitutional officer. And failing to do that, you are promoting treason. Therefore, you are guilty. And you can do 7 years in prison because you knew of treason and did not report it. And the unlawful conveyance of parcels of American soil is warring on this nation, we the people, and the Constitution of the United States. So if your county, whether it's a register of deeds or whether it's the clerk of the courts, knows that there are fraudulent documents, they do nothing about it, they are committing treason.
And that's
like
the
I said,
one
like
of the
to take
hanging
the time
offenses.
some other time
Yeah.
And
It's a
that's the
hanging
and
reason
teach
for our
everybody
show.
how to look
There
at the
is
records
no one out
and
there.
know.
Gotcha. Well, Linda, and anyone that's, Linda, can you give the website information for Homeowners Legal Rights, please?
Yes, www.homeowners with an S, legal rights with an S.org.
Excellent. And I
And you will
strongly
find-
suggest that you look up that website and go there and check out what Linda has. Linda, just give a couple of examples of documents that you've sent over the last year and things you've done.
We have written personal letters to every single chief justice of every state and the United States Supreme Court. We have sent letters personally addressed to all 50 governors for all states and all state attorney generals. We've not only sent them one, we have sent them 2 letters. We
Excellent.
are doing a FOIA request, Freedom of Information Act, and we are investigating.
And how much luck have you had
But
with
I
the
also
FOIA
want
request?
to teach people
How much?
how to look
Talk
in their
about your
own
FOIA request.
land records and be able to see it just like that.
Gotcha. And Linda actually has sent some FOIA requests. Can you talk about the one you sent to Orange County, since tonight we're talking about the secure recordation system? Give a little update.
Well, we've sent them a FOIA request for a great deal of information. We expect to get it in doses. What we've gotten so far is all of the other e-filing systems that are connected to them had to sign a memorandum of understanding. And these memorandums of understanding do warn them that they must file proper documents. Unfortunately, there is no enforcement of this.
There's no risk management.
And there's no risk management. There's no one held accountable. There's no watchdog. There's nobody watching them. And consequently, people are using these systems. They're using systems in their own area to connect with the secure Orange County system in order to be able to file e-filing things. And your local people are going, gee, we have no control. These things are e-filed. Well, you are supposed to have control. That's where Valerie comes in with her remonstrance. You are paid to have control, and that is your job. You cannot relinquish it.
Excellent.
And they are not
Excellent.
doing their job, but they all have websites that say, hey, if you find any fraudulent documents in your land records, you can let us know. People don't know how to tell what is proper and improper. And I would like to start a series and will in the future, and I'll let you know when.
Well, we'll
so
talk
that
about
we
that
can
in just
have
a second. We're going to bring you on and
learning
talk
how
about
to look at their land records and know.
that.
Okay.
Okay, guys. So guess what you've heard tonight? If not for the dirty deeds, we wouldn't even be having this show. If not for the dirty deeds, land would not be stolen. If not for the dirty deeds, we would not be talking about pirating, counterfeiting, and treason. So
Right, because they all acted beyond their articles of incorporation.
and they're violating their corporate charters. Look up your corporate charter for your state. If they're violating the Constitution or third-party vendors they actually can be shut down. Those participating in fraud can lose their retirement. And this is why you'll see people retiring before being brought to justice. So I'm going to close out tonight, and I want to talk to you about. I had a phone call regarding some information about a woman. Actually, this morning we were talking about this, and I suggested, just off the top of my head, I said, everybody should be thinking in their head a proposed order. What is the proposed order you want for these treasonous creatures to work on? And so basically what I said here was, this proposed order is, Your Honor, I stand here with my claim in hand. You're not complaining, you're claiming. You will see my firsthand verified facts and evidence of the pirating, counterfeiting, and treason committed by the dirty, malicious, and nefarious hands of the defendants, in where I am the victim of pirating, counterfeiting, and treason through identity theft, social security number theft, title theft, and estate theft committed by the defendants for them to evade taxes while stealing everything I own. And the proposed order, you lay it upon the Your Honor's desk, basically, is what you're doing when you record it. And the court has a simple decision. This is what you're telling them. You have a simple decision that should be made with ease by simply recognizing the foundation and beginning with the counterfeit documents. The rest of the case is moot, when in fact, the counterfeit paperwork proves the entire case. The entire case ends in the use of the counterfeit paperwork that allowed for the pirating of my land and ends in treason. Without the counterfeit paperwork, my land would not have been clouded title. My land would not have clouded title, and the court would not be wasting its time and resources. I respectfully believe the court should go straight to ruling in my favor and giving criminal referrals against the defendants to the Attorney General. I ask the court to rule in my favor with prejudice against the defendants, and here is my proposed order. Very simply. Number 1, return of plaintiff's land. Removal of counterfeit paperwork from the land records, title returned clean and clear. Number 2, treble damages for each one of the counterfeit documents used. 3, criminal referral to the Attorney General. 4, place the approved order on plaintiff's land records with hard copy, genuine judge's wet ink signed order. Attached your firsthand verified facts and evidence, maybe reword as a notice of intent to file and tell them that you're bringing insurance claims, maybe. Could risk management claim. This here is telling them in simple forms. The reason I did this is because when people tell their story, it's way too long, way too flowered, way too many things that don't matter. What we know right now is what matters is that our land records are a mess. And without the counterfeit documents, we wouldn't be talking about any of this. So we have a show coming April 1st, and this is where Linda's statement about what she wants to do ties in. And we're going to introduce on April 1st our new platform. Faith, it's going to be wonderful. I'm really excited about this. You've put a lot of thought into this. Just give a quick second about what you think of our new platform coming.
Our new platform, Hellfire Pie? Oh my God. Are you kidding me? No. I want to get into it. I really do. Because when we get into stuff like this, we also talk about the ability to be able to audit the court dunning records of the courts, because we want to look at those acceptance bonds, we want to look at those performance bonds, and we want to look at who's bidding on our bonds. And that's the back door that they don't really want you to talk about. And none of this is going to get adjudicated in any criminal court unless you really go to an Article 3 or a common law court, which right now they're not allowing any of us to do. And I'm just going to stand firm. And all of this fraud and all the fraud in factum and all the fraud after the fact, it is all irrelevant because it falls under the articles of ultra virus, right?
Ultra something. Ultra counterfeit.
Yeah, which it doesn't matter that, yes, they committed fraud. Yes, they're all cheating. Yes, they're all usurpers. Yes, they're all money changers. Yes.
So I can hear you're excited about this new platform.
I am excited about the new platform.
You are. Okay. And we're going to talk about it on April 1st. You're going to want to tune in. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be an open discussion. And tonight I've got to introduce a man that I've spent a lot of time doing research with. And we've talked many times about coming back on air. In 2016, we became quite the duo online. We had 196,000 viewers a day.
Yeah.
And this is Tom Davis. Let me introduce you. Let me introduce you, my dear man. Not many can bring the hellfire like our Oregon rancher and cowboy Tom Davis. Tom came onto the scene in 2016 fighting judicial and political corruption that he knew is stealing American lands, and became a mini celebrity that the media couldn't get enough of. The guy was all in. Tom, you were everywhere.
Tom, you're amazing.
The women were driving him nuts. He's like the Marlboro Man on steroids, I tell you. So he's a tall 6'7", range riding, bonko hauling, loud voice for the people. Our American cowboy, my dear friend and partner at the Cowboy and the Lady, Tom Davis. Tom, tell him about just a little bit about what's going on with the lands and just give us a quick update.
Okay, as you know, I was involved with the Bundys, and Dwight Hammond and Stephen are good friends of mine. Very good friends. We kayak hunting together and everything. But we've seen, Harney County is 6 million acres. 4.3 million acres of it is owned by the government. Against the Constitution, you know the constitutional law, the government can only own forts, place where they store munitions, 10 miles square around the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. And here they're own all of Harney County, basically. And they're constantly stealing land from people. They're trying to steal the land from Hammond and Steve. As you know, that was a big deal in 16. Me and Renee first met at Lavoie's funeral.
Yep.
And the first time we actually laid she came up behind me in the church, and everybody kept telling me the FBI was looking for me and that. And she touched me, and I said, "Oh, guys, I'm busted. I'm going bye-bye." But that's the first time we met. But I feel that there's no voice for the people here in Harney County. Our government shut us down. They never addressed the regress of a grievance. They never addressed it at all. They filed it away in the backyard, probably in the toilet house.
And nasty Grasty's boxes.
Yeah, nasty grass. They almost ran him over one day. He came out in front of me on his four-wheeler when I was going down the road on an icy road. He almost never stopped. But as you know, that whole deal with the boy and everything. But there's no place to go to. Our government is corrupt. Look at that idiot, babbling idiot in Washington, D.C. And that retard pedophile. That's for sure.
Gosh,
but,
what I love about you, Tom, is we never have to worry about colorful because you bring it. So you know what? I'm really looking forward to the Cowboy and the Lady riding the range again.
Oh
It's
yeah, that's awesome.
the first show we're going to be producing through Whistleblower Pie is the Cowboy and the Lady. She's spirited, he's wild, and they're dangerous. Join Tom and Renee as they wrangle up the chattel thieves and chattel, not cattle, chattel thieves of the Republic. It's going to be a great show. And you just heard from Tom, so you know he is wild. I cannot wrangle the man. There is no rope in town that's going to allow me to stop him from speaking like he does. So be prepared to hear things that we are not politically correct. So what you're hearing tonight is calm, but together on our show, this is why we had 196 hits a day for almost a year on Cowboy and the Lady, because we spoke to the public, right? And that's what the show's going to be about. So
remember, Renee, when me and you was talking, chatting that night that the Chief Justice Scalia was killed?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the flight records showed up on our computers.
Yep. We were sent
Obama's flight.
Mm-hmm.
And Obama was in that plane, that C-130 that Scalia was on. Obama killed him, and Obama was 3 hours late getting to Air Force One over in LA to a big meeting to get money.
Yeah, well, Tom and I were literally doing this, just talking, and we got sent documents, both of us at the same time on our computer. So people tune in because they never know what we're going to say. And believe me, we don't either, because many times it's sent to us while we're on air. And
justices and chefs, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't keep their clothes on, but boy, do they eat good.
Yeah.
Okay, and the second show we're going to be having, and this is where our Lady Hawk comes in. And believe me, our beautiful Renee Wyler, she's going to be doing a show called Let's Talk. Renee will offer her Wyler Mers audit reports, findings, and updates to her actions across America for landowners, as well as her participating in voting integrity. So we're looking forward to you, Lady Hawk. It's going to be exciting. And then our third show, yeah. I swear my pants will not be ripped this time, Ron. Oh, that's how Ron knows he's got to follow me, because half the time my pants are ripped and I don't even know my rear end's hanging out. Gosh, Ron will never live that down. God, thank God you noticed it before we left the party store. I'd have been in front of the Board of Supervisors with my rear end hanging out at the audience. Oh my gosh. He's looking at me like, we have a little problem. Oh yeah. Thanks, Ron. You got my back, buddy. And
wardrobe malfunction.
It was. Valerie, you heard about it too, because I called you and Lori right away, because you guys had to hear about what was going on. I was like, you're not going to believe it. I showed my rear end, literally. Poor Ron was walking so close.
Well, they can just kiss your ass till the cows come in.
Oh, and just you wait. Oh, good friends like Ron, I'll tell you. Thank God for him here in Orange County that day, though, because I was quite the bumbling mess of ripped clothes. Oh, our third show. This is why you want to tune in, people, because the stuff you're going to hear, we don't record this. We do this live, and we don't edit, so you get what you get. Linda Nash, my dear woman friend, who I do speak to on a daily basis. Linda's show is called Nashing the Dirty Deeds and Cleaning Up the Land Records of America. So Linda is going to be doing her podcast. She's going to be giving Linda, look at that smile. I love that. She's going to be nashing.
That is a Cheshire smile of doom.
And we are going to have fun.
Everybody needs to storm their local land records. They need to be able to say, look at this, and tell them what's wrong with it. And say, get it the hell out of my land file. This
Amen.
is my land. It's my record.
That's a good point. You can actually cite American Communication Association versus Dow's. It's not the function of the government to keep the citizens from falling into error. It's the function of the citizen to keep the government from falling into error. And that's what you're doing here.
And it's not easy, because it gets scary, right, Tom? When they got guns on you and handcuffs, they got to aim high for him. It's like, come on, you're going with me.
Everybody kept saying, "I'm surprised you're not dead, Tom."
Yeah, well, Well, and I want y'all to know that Tom and I are collaborating on a book, and we just haven't had time. And it's all about our journey. It's a fiction based on what we lived through. And I'm gonna this last point on poor Tom. We actually ended up meeting on the phone because I had a phone call from Nevada by one of the heads of the Minutemen telling me we had a cowboy in Oregon in trouble and the feds were chasing him to kill him. Remember? And I'm like, why are you calling me? I'm sitting in Newport Beach, California. What can I do for a cowboy in Oregon? I'm thinking, and then I get a call so I left him a message. I said, you don't know me, and this may seem really strange, but I'm supposed to be helping you. I think the feds are trying to kill you. And so, remember that, Tom?
Oh my God, there was 500 phone calls. I was out of service between Ontario and Burns. And when I came into service, my phone blew up.
Yeah, literally. And that's how we met. And then, of course, I scared the bejeebies out of him at a funeral. I thought he was going to be in a casket himself. Sheet white, just sheet white. And he turns around looking straight, and I'm down here because I'm not even 5'4". So he's looking over my head. It was quite the thing. So we're looking forward to entertaining you while we're bringing you the news. So there's going to be a Hellfire Pie on April 1st. So give us a couple of weeks, and we'll be back on. And we are going to talk about the fires. Tom and I, our first show, we have some inside information that we've been given about the fires and the intentional setting. And we have some great things. So we'll talk about that on April 1st. But
is this Faith you were talking about?
Yeah, that's Faith. He's heard all about us.
Hey, Faith, did you hear? Did you hear
you
Joe
are
Biden?
just my little sweetheart of my advocate fighters. I love you dearly.
Did you hear Biden talking about the blue houses and the DEW weapon?
And the DEW weapons. I did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
everything we've been talking about
all those celebrity houses that got blue house
Yep.
The Blue Man Group really sucks. I'm just saying.
Well, folks. Okay, so for tonight, we have come full circle. We have a lot of fun, even though, the one thing we know, and all of us on here, I have had the opportunity to laugh with at many times. Joanne, you and I, sometimes, I can't even talk because we're laughing so hard over the years. And I got to tell you, when she was in jail and I called very naively, what year was that? 2012, Joanne, I think. But I called the Attorney General's office there and the governor, and I said, hey, you've got a woman who is being held right now for trespass upon her own property. And I don't remember. I just went on and on doing law, and I was very professional. And then the next thing I knew, she was out, and I get a phone call from her. She goes, what the hell did you say? And I said, I don't even remember. I just kept leaving this message. They kept passing me department to department. So I kept telling them, let her out, let her out. And she says, well, I'm out.
That's a true story.
So with all of our fun times ahead on this show, it is very serious. And what's very serious is that this is the theft of America. And Whistleblower Pie Season 2 is going to end with this show tonight, where we've wrapped up everything from Soria Pie to foreign investors, and now tonight to the secure recordation of electronic devices, systems, integrations that are taking our information and selling us off as chattel to the highest bidder. Not even the highest bidder sometimes. They don't even care. They're just giving crap away. And we are the ones who have to stand up and fight. So Faith, I'm very excited about our new future in our production of podcasts. You guys are just going to have to bear with us because everyone coming onto these platforms are just people. They're you, me, they're sisters, they're brothers. We are not professionals. We are not full of legalese. We're damaged. We have PTSD, but we're here. And thanks to people like Valerie Naif and Lori Cole, we have the petition of remonstrance. So anybody listening out there, you don't have to keep writing them. It's already written, isn't it, Linda? It's already written.
It sure is.
And it's powerful. And Linda,
we have it filed in 39 states.
39, that's right. So Val, you were close.
Yeah, this collateral damage is locked and loaded. Just saying.
And we're slicing it up.
That's
So
right.
thank you, Rory. Thank you, Ron. I miss you, my friend. Tell Debbie hi. Joanne, Val, Valerie, love you, sis. And
Love y'all.
love y'all. So see you April 1st when we get back on and we dish about our new shows. Until
We're
then,
gonna dish it out, aren't we?
we're scooping it out with our pie cutter, and our pie cutter is serving it up. Go
I'm
enjoy it.
shoveling it. What are you talking about? That's a big pie.
Dutch Apple coming aboard. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Night
Good night.
night.